What's up guys, my name is Ace, and a couple days ago, we got a trailer for the beta build of Modern Warfare 4. It was quite a short trailer, but I did a full breakdown of that, and there were quite a few new details revealed in that trailer. However, just this morning, we got the full Modern Warfare 4 multiplayer trailer that shows a whole lot more. We do have a lot of the same clips from that beta trailer, but many of them are extended a bit longer, and then we've got a bunch of new clips as well. So we're once again going to be taking a fairly deep look at this, keeping in mind I don't want to focus this too much on just pointing out every gun that popped up throughout the trailer, especially guns that we've already seen gameplay of from the Kill Block Alpha, for instance. So I don't want to make this all about just pointing out every gun in the trailer, but I am going to be making mentions of guns that we either haven't seen before or we just haven't seen much of, and we haven't seen like alpha gameplay of it yet. But without further ado, let's dive right into this, and the first thing we see is we are going to be getting a snow map at launch. That's excellent. It's always nice to have that little bit of variety mixed in there. And then we see what appears to be a weapon inspect here, and this is a sniper rifle, technically an anti-material rifle, looking at the caliber there. It's a 14.5 by 114 millimeter, and I tried to do a little bit of searching to find what this is based on, and it may be loosely based on the Ukrainian T-Rex anti-material rifle. That's at least the closest thing I was able to find that's chambered in this cartridge. Next, we see another inspect here. This looks like it's the Phantom Apex attachment for the X58 Nyx SMG. I know, we've seen gameplay of this, but in these cases, they're like really drawing attention to the guns. We also see an inspect with the M4, as well as the 50GS or Desert Eagle. Then the next thing I wanted to point out is this clip here is on the map Mumbai, and I mentioned this in my previous trailer breakdown video. I was a bit confused because in that beta-specific trailer, they showed off Mumbai, and yet it wasn't stated as one of the maps we're going to have access to in the beta, so I was a bit confused by that. I thought maybe they changed the name of the map. I just wanted to point out here real quick that at the end of that trailer, in the fine print, it stated that not all content shown will be playable in the beta, so I believe this map is still going to be called Mumbai. We just won't be able to play it in the beta. And getting back to it, we're once again seeing a snow map. It's perhaps the exact same snow map that we saw at the beginning of the trailer. One thing I wanted to point out here is these tripwires attached to the door. They don't appear to be the tripwire lethal equipment that we've seen some gameplay of in the alpha, because with that, you only see 2 of the tripwires and they attach to each other, whereas this is a little bit more intricate and it's laid out so perfectly here with 4 of them that I believe this could be a field upgrade instead that will allow you to trap doorways like this. Either that, or if you do throw multiple of these together, they will try to connect if possible, but I'm still leaning toward this being a field upgrade. But then this transitions into a different map where we see the mechanic where you get knocked off your feet from an explosion. So if you survive an explosion, but you're close enough to it and it's a big enough explosion, it can knock you off your feet. And that's something we've seen discussed in the past. And while we do kind of see it in action here, and we did see it in that DMZ showcase that they showed us as well, I'm just very curious to see how this interacts with the actual 6v6 gameplay. Like, how often is it going to be happening? Is it going to be a really frustrating mechanic? Or perhaps not? Time will tell. I'm sure we'll find out in the beta this weekend. But then with that, we actually see this transition into a clip that we saw from that initial trailer using this very interesting shotgun, which I wasn't able to identify, but many of you guys were able to identify that this looks like it's at least loosely based on the Neosted 2000 shotgun, but it is a fictionalized version of it. And just like with the beta trailer, we can see the strobe light in action, which I'm speculating is going to be the Apex attachment for this. Again, I hope it's the Apex attachment because then it would just be tied to this one specific gun, rather than being available on all of the shotguns, for instance. But after that, we transition to a different map here. If I had to guess, I think this is Lithium, which we will have access to in the beta, but I could be wrong on that. And the character is using some piece of an equipment here. This does appear to be the DDoS equipment or field upgrade that we have seen in some previous games, because he activates it and it does send out a pulse. Presumably that will be destroying or disrupting enemy equipment in the vicinity. And then right after that, we see what appears to be a Killstreak. And this is a drone with a machine gun mounted on it, so similar to like the Dragonfire from the past, for instance. And then the next interesting thing to point out here is this guy pulls out a pump-action 40mm grenade launcher. This does appear to be the GM94 grenade launcher, which I don't think we've seen this appear in any promotional material up until this point, so this looks like it's brand new to us. And then immediately after that, he pulls out a Desert Eagle or 50GS with one hand, so it looks like the quick draw mechanic. Although this section does look like it's just animated in-engine and not actual gameplay, just based on the fact that his body is not turning to face where he's aiming like it would with regular gameplay. Also, interestingly, he went from an M4 to the grenade launcher, now to the 50GS. So that's implying that he has 3 weapons, or maybe that grenade launcher is something different, like a field upgrade. I think the easiest explanation here is this particular section is just animated in-engine to look cool. In either case, after that, we see him throw what appears to be a Screamer mine, which we did see appear in the Killblock Alpha a few times, and we also got a look at a thermal sight here on the Oris 8.6 Marksman Rifle. Whereas after that, he uses the Apex attachment, which we have seen some clips in the past. This is the Razor attachment, specifically for the Oris 8.6, so you can throw these out really quickly, as you can see. And when he kills the second guy, the gun that pops up there does appear to be the Odin from Modern Warfare 2019, based on the Ash 12, or at least something very similar to that. And this is the first time we're actually seeing this in-game, to my knowledge at least. The closest thing we saw was this little menu image from one of the behind-the-scenes videos that we got. And so I'm pretty sure that's going to be the Odin, or they might change the name of it in-game. Time will tell. But next we see a transition here with what appears to be an airstrike, and they're transitioning over to the map Silkworm. And we once again see a look at the Wheelson or Wheelson equivalent score streak here. And we see it going from happy to angry as it engages the target. And then right here on the far right of the screen, this is yet another gun that we've seen a glimpse of in a promotional image, but that's the only other time we've seen it. This one does appear to be based on the IWI Carmel. And then the guy on the left that's picking up the shield, he's got a Vel 46 in his hand, which wasn't seen in the alpha at all, but we have seen gameplay clips of this in the past. And we can see with the Riot Shield, which is confirmed to be a field upgrade, it will actually pop up this viewport in front of you. And just like we saw with the beta trailer, this is confirmation that you can also slam it down to the ground and it effectively converts it into deployable cover, which I think, at least on paper, is an excellent way to handle the Riot Shield. I'm quite happy with how they're handling that based on what we've seen so far. But then after that, we get a first-person look at what I believe is the new Juggernaut Killstreak, where he's got a belt-fed grenade launcher. And it looks like this is firing some kind of like a cluster bomb because there's multiple small explosions when he fires this. And that looks like it's going to be pretty deadly. We also see a finishing move here where that Juggernaut character is using an M4 for a finishing move. But then it cuts to a different clip where it looks like he's also performing a finishing move and he has that grenade launcher in his hand. I don't know what's going on here, if you're actually going to be able to use normal guns while using this Juggernaut style streak, assuming this even is a kill streak reward. Either way, I just thought that was a little bit strange to see him with an M4 in his hand. But then immediately following that one, we've got what appears to be an unmanned helicopter. Again, likely a kill streak as well, and we're seeing a bunch of other clips on that map Mumbai, with the train coming by here. And we see him actually stick a C4 to the train, which is pretty interesting. And then we once again see this clip, which we saw in the beta trailer for the game. And some of you guys in the comments were actually pointing out that if you zoom in on that map, this is actually Lotus, which is one of the multiplayer maps we will have access to in the beta this weekend. I didn't pick up on that right away, but when you zoom in, you can see the structure of Lotus is there. And so this actually appears to be a kill streak that's coming in on the map. Whether that's controlled or not, I don't really know, but this is definitely Lotus, and we actually see this transition into a handful of clips on the map Lotus. And with this, he's using the Resi 12 shotgun, and after killing these enemies, it looks like he's calling it a kill streak called the Missile Salvo. And this cuts into a clip that we saw in the beta trailer where it looks like white phosphorus potentially being called in on the map. And this is on the map Rooftops. I could be mistaken though. I'm kind of hoping that's not white phosphorus. That was a really annoying streak back in the day, but as far as I can tell, that's what's happening here. And then this cuts to another streak that's being called in, again on the map Rooftops. And this appears to be essentially the new version of the Hellstorm style streak. So it drops his payload with a parachute, and with this, you have 3 missiles to fire, and it looks like the last one that you fire, you will be manually controlling. And I kind of like that they're at least trying new things here to make it look different and unique from the same old Hellstorm style streak we've seen in the past, even though functionally it's a very similar thing. My only real concern here is we're going to have to watch this relatively long cinematic sequence take place before we actually gain control of the streak, like we've seen in some previous Infinity Ward games, and that just turns me off from using this style of streak entirely. In some recent iterations, it just takes you out of the fight for so long relative to the power that you're gaining from it that it's just not worth it. But that's just my opinion, of course, and I'm curious to see what this actually looks like in-game when you call one of these in. But after that, we're transitioning into the kill block section here, and the first gun we see is the PPSH using the Apex attachment called Spitfire, and this is an underbarrel where you're firing that white phosphorus. We've seen a couple clips of this in the past, and he also transitions over to a zip gun, which is a lethal piece of equipment rather than a secondary pistol. After that, we have an extended clip here from the beta trailer where it looks like he's using the Axion Crusader Apex attachment on that first gun. He underhand throws a sensor grenade, which reveals that enemy through the wall, and then he pulls out the KG-7 Vulcan sniper rifle and quickscopes him. And after that one, we see this very unique weapon, which to me pretty clearly appears to be a kill streak reward as well. I can't quite tell exactly what it is or what it's firing, but it does look like it has a very powerful one-hit kill potential. And it does have some legs on it as well, so perhaps you can mount this on the ground. I'm not too sure on that. Then we get another look at the Apex attachment for the Cronin Squall. This is the one that's a laser-guided missile. It's an underbarrel attachment. You fire the missile out, and then you just guide it in with your laser, and it will follow where that laser is and explode, and it kills this guy. And this transitions us into the ground war clips, which are the same clips we saw from the beta trailer, but expanded a little bit. And we do see that fixed-wing drone that is carrying an explosive payload here. Again, I'm assuming this is a kill streak reward. And the expanded part of this clip shows this player ready to mark a kill streak. However, I also wanted to point out that you can see some care packages coming in the background. So care packages confirmed, big surprise in Call of Duty. But this streak that he's calling in here appears to be a bunker buster or something similar to it at least. I don't really play Warzone at all. I don't know if this is exactly what the bunker buster looks like and works like in Warzone, but this at least appears to be bunker buster-like to me. And then finally, for the last little bit of this trailer, we see a player calling in a nuke. So Nuke is confirmed. That one shouldn't come as a surprise for an Infinity Ward game, of course. But it looks like they're doing a totally different style of animation. When you call the nuke in, you actually set up for a skyhook and it extracts you from the map as the nuke explodes, which I think looks really cool. I definitely have my doubts that this person would be surviving that situation right there. But hey, it's a video game. I think it looks really cool and cinematic at least. And that wraps it up for the multiplayer trailer. Those are all of the little details I wanted to pick out and share with you guys. And this is where I'm curious to hear from you guys in those comments down below. How are you feeling about multiplayer now based on what you've seen in this trailer and all of the information we know already? Is this getting you really excited for Modern Warfare 4 or perhaps not? Also, I can officially confirm at this point I will be streaming at COD Next on Friday, shortly before the beta goes live, and that will be hosted on my Twitch channel, which I will have linked down below. So if you guys haven't followed me yet on Twitch, make sure you do so if you want to catch up on that stream, or even if you just want to come hang out while I stream at some point, that link will be down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.